高野さん。
こんばんは。月の綺麗な夜ね。前原くん。
Yeah, it sure is. And the rain is, oh, fantastic. It was raining far too hard to see the moon. Takano-san unfolded an umbrella and smiled as she spoke. That smile was for some reason uncanny, like she'd seen right through me. Oh, I can bet that she totally sees right through us. Out of all the people I could have met, I got some feeling that this was the one I wanted to see the least.
こんな時間にどうしたのかしら。傘もささずに全身ずぶ濡れの泥まみれで。それは何？シャベル？
She had come here via car. She wouldn't have known what I was just doing. And yet, she smiled, as though she knew everything. Calm down, Keiichi, my brother. She always makes that mysterious-looking smile, remember? Don't let her on to anything, lest you dig your own grave. Well, if you were to dig your own grave, at least you have the shovel prepared, I guess.
噂じゃあなた、ゴルフクラブで野球に参加したそうだけど、そのシャベルも、つまりはそういうこと？傘の代わりってわけかしら？
I should tell a good lie here. If I could just do that, things would work out.
レナと宝探しにダム現場に行った時にこれを忘れてきちゃったんですよ。
それをこの土砂降りの中取りに行ったわけ？
家を出た時は降るとは思いませんでしたので。
あら、降り出したのは結構前よ。あなたずいぶん前から表にいるのね。
まあほっつき歩いてましたから。
Yeah, I mean, it did start raining. We got to find a shovel and it started raining. So I was thinking that maybe we could wait a little bit and see if the rain would stop. But it didn't seem like it would stop any further, so we decided to just brute force our way home through the downpour.
それにしたって、あなた向こうからこっちに向かってきたんでしょ？ダムとは場所も方向も正反対よ。
Takano-san was clearly aware that something exceedingly abnormal was happening with me. Yeah, I can now help her with that one, Keiichi, with the directioning. That's definitely abnormal. And as she played her little war games, she was enjoying driving me into a corner. Maybe she had a vague guess, just from the situation, of what I'd been doing. My timing really sucked. To run into her of all people, of all the times. At the very end, I can only be frustrated at my terrible luck. Well, me personally, Keiichi, I wouldn't worry too much. I get the feeling that Takano-san right here is just gonna leave us be and go home. She is more than likely not gonna tell anybody. Or, actually, thinking about it some more, she might actually tell somebody. This might work in our advantage. I don't know. I had done so much, and the end was literally right around the corner. Like, either way, the situation here is definitely in Takano's favor. It almost feels as if we're playing by her pinky. So why, at the very end, did I run into her of all people? What do you do, Keiichi, my man? You're still holding something that could be a dangerous weapon. Will you silence Takano-san? Even if it would be simple to kill Takano-san, dealing with the car she'd come in afterward would be an issue. I couldn't drive a car. It was completely different from a motorbike. Yeah. If a car would be left, like, right there, then somebody would totally think that the person that was driving the car just disappeared. But even if the car was here, as long as there was no proof I killed her. Yes, in tonight's downpour, without any prior planning, all by coincidence, a hit and run. As long as I didn't drop any handkerchiefs with my initials on them, they would never know I killed her. A black flame quietly smoldered and ragged in the core of my body.
怖い顔いじめすぎちゃったかしら
Takano-san started to laugh by herself, then thankfully stopped talking about it. But the dark clouds in my mind didn't go away.
それはそうといつまで自転車にまたがったまま地面に這いつくばってるつもりそろそろどいてくれるかしら
If I moved, she would leave. So I tried to get the bicycle up and out of the way, but then twisted my ankle in it and fell over. There was a sharp pain in the ankle I twisted. This is nonsense. A sprained ankle? Now?
あら大丈夫ひょっとしてひねっちゃった
Takano-san squats down and takes a good look at the ankle I kept right. She compares it to my facial expression, and apparently trying to gauge how bad the wound was.
立てる
I didn't expect to, but I couldn't even stand up. It was all I could do to shamelessly wriggle on the ground like a caterpillar. Speaking of hitting caterpillars on the ground, Keiichi surely does feel like one right now. Takano-san looked at her watch, then at her car, after thinking for a moment, opened the passenger seat door, and then gave me her shoulder to stand up with.
家まで送るわなんだか私が跳ねたみたいで嫌な気持ちだけどね
すみません
見捨てるのも気の毒だし私が優しい人でよかったわね
Nobody good has ever called themselves a nice person. But that would have been a terrible thing to say to someone holding me up like this. I took Takano's hands and sat down in the passenger seat. Takano-san went around the back and looked at my bike on the ground.
自転車は後日ってことにはならない
I could clearly tell from her face that she thought it would be a pain, since it would be heavy. It would get her car dirty. But my bike has the name Maebara written on it. I couldn't leave it out here like this.
なんとか車に詰めませんかないと困るんで
トランクはもういっぱいなの後部座席なんかに積んだらシートが泥で汚れちゃうわまああなたを乗せた時点でもう十分に汚れてるんだけれども
I turned back to the back seat and see someone's folding bicycle tail away. It still looked big enough to fit my bike in there as well. My expression reflected my thoughts, and the exact thought seemed to get through to her.
わかったわわかったわ積んであげる今夜だけはお姉さんも優しくしてあげるわ
Yeah, sure thing. Takano-san continued with her mean jokes, but she hoisted my bike and loaded it into the back of the seat for me. The mean jokes were one thing, but couldn't she do something about that eerie smile of hers? And, even more importantly than the bike, I didn't want to leave the shovel here. The shovel could be directly connected to the buried body and to me.
ついでで申し訳ないんですけどシャベルもお願いしていいですか
Takano-san gave me a clearly dubious expression.
シャベル別にいいけど 大事なもの?
Oh, you know damn well it's important. The more I talk, the worse it gets for me. And that's how I felt. So I didn't force myself to answer her. Eventually, outlasted by my silence, Takano-san gave a short shrug and sighed.
はいはい、わかったわ。僕はシャベルがないと困っちゃうんでしょ。そんな怖い目しなくてもいいわよ。
Takano-san brought over the shovel that was lying in the middle of the road. I clutched it like I'd never let go of it again. Takano-san watched me with a puzzled look.
じゃ、行くわよ。前原くんのお家って、あの前原屋敷でいいんでしょ?
Nowhere else.
なんでみんなうちのことを前原屋敷って呼ぶんですか?
だって現にお屋敷じゃない。
It is a pretty big house.
お金持ちが羨ましいわ。
As she spoke, Takano-san pulled the handbrake and stepped on the gas. After making a skillful U-turn using the shoulder of the road, she steadily increased in speed. From the rear view mirror, that accursed place seemed to melt into the darkness. Alright, Takano. I know that you have something behind that devious smile of yours. You are thinking of something right over here. You more than likely are figuring out what is going on right over here, so I assume that we're gonna have quite a discussion here about it. Or, at the very least, she's gonna talk to Keiichi in a way that makes her seem like she doesn't know what is going on right over here, but she does. She more than likely does. So, once again, Takano is gonna play us by her little pinky, and we're gonna do as she says, or something along those lines that they'll give her quite the advantage.
慣れた?
え? すみません。よく聞こえませんでした。今なんて?
Takano-san suddenly tried to say something to me, but falsely I didn't catch it. Looking ahead, Takano-san said the same thing one more time.
したい。
え?
上手に埋められた?
I thought my heart might beat out of my chest, but I didn't let it show. But my lungs were squeezed tight, and I couldn't breathe.
何を言ってるんですか?
こういう山奥に死体を埋めるときはね、結構深く掘らないと野犬とかが匂いを嗅ぎつけて掘り返しちゃうことも多いのよ。野犬がくわえてた人骨で事件が発覚。警察一帯を山狩りへなんて結構ないことじゃないのよ。
Sorry, I'm eating like a piece of chocolate right over here, Takano. But yeah, you're right. You're right. Pound, pound, clank, clank. Huge Russell bells start ringing in my head. And I buried it so deep that I could say it absolutely wouldn't be found. The answer was clearly no. I was in such a rush to bury him and get it over with that I couldn't deny having possibly buried it too close to the surface. No. Wait. That's no. Wait, anyway. This woman. How does she know? It just passed by here in her car by coincidence. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's quite a coincidence. Out of all the people that Keiichi would just meet, like in the middle of the road like that, it had to be Takano of all people. And we ran into each other by coincidence. If she had been watching the entire thing from the trees, and once I left, she came back into her car, it didn't make logical sense. So then, why? Well, it was to catch you. She would obviously think that you'll be pretty damn tired after the entire event, which would make you even more of a good prey in her eyes. The more tired, the better. So obviously she would come in a car, making you think initially that it was just pure coincidence, when in actuality now you are in her car, now you are in her spider web, and now you're gonna have to do as she says, otherwise it won't be good. Cause, okay, I mean, technically I guess you could still try and kill her, like right in the middle of the car, but I get the feeling that you wouldn't want to do that right now, especially since we are inside a car. If you were to do that like right now, both of you would be killed via car accident. She did think this through all the way. Like the one place where you wouldn't be able to just go ahead and kill her would be inside her car, like speeding through it. Like speeding through the road. Like you are so close to her with that shovel of yours. And yet, if you were to do that, it would be bad. Keiichi Maebara. That's it. You need to kill her. My entire body reawakened, and I could feel my pupils dilate. Not to mention that, again, what are you gonna do with a car? And especially since if you were to kill her like right here, there will be blood inside the car. And that somebody would definitely find out that somebody was killed inside the car, which would be Takano. You could try and wash it. No, but the car would still be here, like, left. I couldn't possibly beat her to death with a shovel in such a small car. Then I would use my hands and strangle her. But she was driving right now. If I strangled her, we might get into an accident. Exactly. Like, she isn't the safest spot right now. Then, suddenly, Takano-san turned and looked at me.
ボケもツッコミもなし?
You know damn well that Keiichi was thinking of ways to kill you, but couldn't. And now that you see his face, all worried that he couldn't kill you, it probably tickles your funny bone, doesn't it? For a moment, I was surprised. What was she talking about?
私たちあんまり相性は良くないみたいね。
Takano-san said, disappointed, returning her gaze ahead. I repeated the words she'd said a few times in my head, and finally realized she'd meant it as an off-color joke. I didn't know whether it was really a joke, but I wouldn't be able to fool her, no matter how many lies I told. Right now, with her driving the car like this, I couldn't kill her. And especially since now you're on the way to your home, Keiichi, like, you could kill her right there, but you'll be really, really close to your home, so there's no denying it that you absolutely cannot kill her, Keiichi. And it's not like you could just go home, she would drive back home, and you would go at it again and try to find her and kill her because you don't even know where she lives. And it's not like she's gonna answer her phone call like right in the middle of the morning and just answer you in similar fashion to be lured, like out there in a similar way to Teppei. No, you cannot do that same technique again. Yeah, I would have an even harder time doing it when we got back to my house. Exactly. The moment we met, and it had been my best chance. And to have missed it so easily, it hurt. Yeah. Reason why she only revealed to you that she knew about the body and such only inside the car and not right then. She lured you inside the car, like pretending that there was nothing odd going on, like playing with the, like, going along with your little story of treasure hunting. After that, Takano-san didn't say a single word. The car was completely buried in an almost suffocating silence. woman had I run into? With everything that happened today, I managed to pull it off. And at the very end of it all, I just had to go home and go back to sleep. What bad luck. As my sleepiness gradually overtook me, the anxiety I felt steadily started to matter less. The anxiety I felt steadily started to matter less and less. Is this alright, Keiichi Maebara? You probably should not leave this woman alive. Right now, I'm tired. She stepped on the brakes, and I jerked against my seatbelt. They woke me up. I thought I must have fallen asleep by accident. I looked out the window, and there was a big building with faint lights on. It was really dark out, but I knew immediately it was my house.
今、ご家族を呼んでくるわね。少しの間だけど、一人でお留守番できるかしら？
バカにしないでください。それに、ほら、もう大丈夫です。一人で歩けますから。
あらあら、さっきは痛そうな顔して肩まで借りたのに？ひょっとしてお姉さんに甘えてみたかったから？
As Takano-san spoke, she left the car and opened up her umbrella. The sound of falling raindrops was fierce, as always. I carefully reached down and rubbed the ankle I twisted. There was still some pain and a little weirdness, but it weren't that bad anymore. Rather than being happy about how light the wound was, I first regretted this whole thing. If I hadn't twisted my ankle, I could have still taken the option of killing Takano-san right then and there. There probably wasn't much doubt that Takano-san was convinced I was involved in some sort of crime. If she knew about everything happening with Satoko, then she might have even guessed I killed somebody. Click. Takano-san opened the passenger side door for me.
本当に肩は必要ないかしら？もう一回だけ甘えてもいいのよ。
I ignored her and answered by getting out of the car by myself. The rain was still pretty intense. I got my bicycle out of the back seat, and I was a bit curious who the other bike belonged to, but that didn't matter right now. I let Takano-san hold the umbrella over me, and then pushed my bicycle up to the front door. Something tells me that that bicycle belongs to Tomitake. Which, surprisingly, he is not around. I wonder if Takano actually did the deed herself, like tonight as well. It seems that you two might have something in common after all.
ありがとうございます。もうここまでで大丈夫です。
My ankle hurt so much earlier. It still did. But it aggravated me that it hadn't even been that bad. It was really seriously terrible luck.
じゃあ、私はこれで失礼するわね。前原くんと二人きりで夜のドライブだったなんて。みんなには内緒よ。特に二郎さんにはね。
Jiro-san? Oh, she meant Tomitake-san. I suppose she calls him by his first name. His full name must be Jiro Tomitake then. And then, the other bike, the folding one in the back seat, that I didn't care about at first, suddenly came to mind. Hey, excuse me. You're from Hinamizawa, right? On the day before yesterday, as I walked near the dam, half asleep, Tomitake-san had talked to me. On the bicycle he'd been riding, it was...
あの後ろに積んであった自転車、富武さんのですよね。
Yeah. It is interesting that you have his bicycle here. Takano. Takano-san's eyes, I think they sharpened for a moment.
どうしてそう思うのかしら。
以前に会った時見てますから。フレームも特徴的でしたし。
ふーん。でもおかしくないかしら。この自転車が二郎さんのものだなんてことありえると思う？
Yeah, it could be.
おかしいって。
Takano-san, her hair elegantly fluttering, peers into my eyes.
だってHinamizawaには民宿なんてないのよ。なら二郎さんは町に泊まっていることになるわよね。
そうなんですか？まあ、そうならそうなんじゃないですか？
町からHinamizawaまではとても歩いてなんか行き来できないわよね。バスだって走ってないし、せめて自転車くらいはなきゃね。
She didn't need to tell me that. Exactly. In that case, Tomitake would definitely need that bicycle. So for you to have it, it kind of makes me think that you're saying that he no longer needs that kind of bicycle. Am I right? And that's why Jiro-san was riding a bike.
その二郎さんの自転車が私の車に積んであって、二郎さんは私の車に乗っていないならおかしいじゃない。
Oh, it totally would be strange.
二郎さんはHinamizawaで自転車なしってことになっちゃうわよ。二郎さんを放っておいて自転車だけが私の車に積んであるなんてね。ありえないでしょ。
Unless you're saying that you're making a huge prank on Tomitake and you left him somewhere and you took his bike. And now he has to go back home, like in the downpour without his bike. That would be quite a prank that you're putting there, Takano. As she spoke, Takano-san made eyes like a hawk. Unfortunately, I didn't really understand what was so odd.
それの何がおかしいんですか？高野さんは富武さんとは仲がいいんですよね。何かのようで自転車を積んであげたって別におかしいことだとは思わないですけれど。
そうじゃないでしょ。つまりこのHinamizawaにおいて二郎さんとその自転車がバラバラに存在することはありえないということなのよ。以上の理由からこの自転車が二郎さんのものであるわけがない。
But in that case, it is pretty interesting that you, Takana, would have a bike like this that is similar to Tomitake's, and yet it isn't. It would be quite a coincidence for you to have a bike that it looks just the same as his. And for what reason? In that case, who does this bike belong to? I don't see you as the type of person that would ride the bike, to be quite honest, especially since you're having a car right over here.
理解できたかしら？
Takano-san's roundabout way of talking was hard to comprehend, but that eeriness I could feel, that vague dreadfulness, I didn't like it at all. But the most wild instinctive part of me warned me not to pry.
あれは私の自転車なのよ。二郎さんに選んでもらったからセンスが似てるのは間違いないけれどね。
あ、そうだったんですか。道理で似てると。
私とあなたは今夜出会わなかった。
And now she was talking about something completely different.
何を言ってるんですか？
私とあなたは今夜出会わなかった。
I stayed there, not knowing what to say. And Takano-san repeated her eerie, succinct phrase to me again.
私とあなたは今夜出会わなかった。私とあなたは出会わなかった。
Something cold and unpleasant crawled up my spine. I knew, because I killed a person with my own hands before. Before, I came to the conclusion that I only had one chance to beat this woman to death to keep her quiet. And I couldn't hesitate. So I could tell that she arrived at the very same conclusion. My instincts warned me again. I wish I'd never met this woman. The faint sense, like a rotten smell, drifting from this woman, was no doubt the exact same sense that I was giving off right now. The very peculiar aspiration, the lack of uncertainty in taking a human's life for a purpose, one that only those who have risen above everything had. Actually, maybe I should have called it a nausea. It meant, and I didn't know how to explain this very well, but Takano-san was the same as me. In other words, someone who shouldn't have been here. Someone I couldn't have let anybody know was here. Someone who nobody would have wanted to see. And now that we had, we could calmly pretend as though we never met. Alright. We can play that kind of game, Takano. We have never met each other tonight. Yes, which meant that, just like I wanted to have nothing else to do with her, she didn't want anything to do with me either. And she too wanted to make it so that we'd never meet. Both of us wished for the same thing. Our desires were the same, which meant Takano-san's suggestion was extremely practical, and that I could not outright refuse.
それでいいなら、そういうことでもいいです。俺と高野さんは今夜出会わなかった。
そうよね。あなたにとってもその方がいいでしょうから。
どうしてそう思うんですか？
いちいちうるさいわね。それくらい自分で考えられないの、坊や。
She cut me off with a condescending word, boy. Right in front of my house, in a place most unsuited to killing. And yet, there was a frozen thirst for blood coming from both of us. I would be killed right here, right now. Yeah, and I should have definitely beaten her as we passed each other. A damp, greasy sweat broke out of my body. And that's fine. If you want me, then you can come anytime. And when I made up my mind, she shook her hair elegantly and turned on her yo.
よかったわね。私が優しい人で。
What was good? How? Because she was a kind person? Was that it? I didn't get it. Takano-san got into her car. We didn't exchange any words or party. I performed a massive feat, the killing of Satoko's uncle. And yet I didn't feel any accomplishment. On the holy night of Oyashiro-sama's curse, on which the taking of another's life was allowed, on the terribly rainy night when the demons wandered, as agents of Oyashiro-sama's will. The demons were never supposed to meet, but suddenly they did. The demons parted ways triumphantly. There was no reason for them to fight. Both their objectives had already been accomplished. With the rain hitting me like a waterfall, my eyes met with Takano-san's through the car window. The female demon, her mouth twisted into a distorted, fearless smile. It was too late to kill her. Far too late. That first moment, the very first moment we saw each other, had been my best chance. And now that we had parted ways like this, I was acutely aware of it. I should not have let her live. She beeped her horn quickly, then her car drove away into the deluge. The one woman who knew what really happened tonight disappeared into the dark. As long as she was alive, this night would never really end. Just get into an accident, I thought to myself. In this downpour, slip on some mud or something, and fly face into a tree and die. And that wasn't a delusion, a wild flight of fantasy. It was an earnest wish. Yes, it was a command. Die. Die. And keep your mouth shut for eternity. Because I have no doubt you're wishing for me to die all the same. My curse upon her faded emptily, as Takano-san's tail lights disappeared into the utter darkness. Her car's lights were completely out of sight now. Even the sound of the engine faded into the sound of the heavy rain, and was inaudible now. Alright, well, let's go to bed, Keiichi. It has been a long, long day, so a good night's rest would do you good. I, too, turned on my heel to draw the curtains on this insane night, to open my front door and end it all. I began walking towards the front door. I was covered in mud, and I made a squishing sound with every step I took. Man, how are we gonna explain this to our parents, Keiichi? Squish, squish. Don't worry, Keiichi, my boy. Squish, squish. She'll die. Squish, squish. Her end will be as miserable as she is. I'll throw her into some flames alive and let her dance until she's burned to a truck. I'll throw her into some flames alive and let her dance until she's burned to a crisp. Burned? Flames? Sounds familiar. I'll burn her to ashes in the fires of hell itself until she's roasted as much as she deserves.
そう願うぜ。本気でな。
Squish. Huh? Just now, I hadn't taken a step, and yet a footstep. Without emotion, I turned around. Oh boy. Is it Rena staying in the rain again? What did I tell you, silly? You shouldn't stay in the rain. You're gonna catch a cold. If there was a footprint that wasn't my own, then it was obvious someone else was behind me. Somebody else there? That or more than likely Satoko. I was sick of this. Whoever it was, I was sick of everything tonight. This time, I would kill them. I killed them without a second thought. I wouldn't hesitate to turn around and dig another hole. But fortunately, there was nobody there. I was going to have to kill any more people tonight. This night. I couldn't handle any more of it. I heard an extra footstep each time I stopped. I put it down to me just being tired. Alright. Can we please end the day? Finally? Fire from Hell, victim of the 5th year. Oh my god. Okay. We have some tips. I assume that we're done with this day. That was the longest day of my freaking life. Like, going through this entire process of murder and such. Which was really well done, but phew. Let me just move on. Victim of the 5th year. Yeah, it's Tommy talking.
We know
that the truck in Takano's car was full. I bet it was Tomitake's body there.
消防です。火事ですか？事故ですか？落ち着いて話してください。多分火事だと思います。こちらは中部高速の柿内サービスエリアなんですけどね。裏の山からなんだかすっごい火と煙が上がってるのが見えるんですよ。あんなところ誰も立ち入らないからなんで火がついてるのかよくわかんないですけど、とにかく連絡した方がいいと思って。山火事にならないとも限らないし。わかりました。すぐに現場を確認しますので、そちら様のお名前とすぐに連絡のつく電話番号、それから火災現場の詳細な場所をお願いします。
消防司令部より通達。G ブロック西側山斜面にて不審火の通報あり。街道から離れていることからカップルの焚き火か 不法投棄のゴミに放火したかの可能性があります。
Okay, hold on a second. Like, it feels extremely loud today, even though it's basically the same volume. What the fuck?
現場は深い森林地帯。周辺に民家はないが延焼の可能性あり。
A couple's bonfire, someone unlawfully burning trash deep in the woods. So we have fire again, just like in chapter 2.
直ちに現場を確認されたし。
消防署ですか。こちらは G ブロック第3消防分隊です。通報の現場にさっき到着。ドラム缶が一つ山中に放棄され炎上しているのを確認しました。
Yeah, burning wall drone, just like in chapter 2.
火は鎮火しつつあり、延焼の可能性はなし。で、ドラム缶の中に多分人じゃないかと思うんです。人らしきものが灯油か何かで焼かれたという感じで。
Was it a woman?
警察の人にも連絡した方がいいんじゃないかと思いまして。間違いねえよ。これ人だよ。
What the fuck? Like, why?
今年のたたりってことっすかね。
そういうことになるんですかね。毎年いろんな殺し方を見せてくれますが、今年は特に際立っていますね。
自分で自分の喉をかき破るなんて普通じゃないっす。
あとは鑑識のじいさまに任せましょう。きっと何かの怪しげな薬物を検出してくれるに違いありません。
お疲れ様です。お疲れ様です。
あ、大石さん、小宮山さんたちが到着しました。
大石さん、お疲れ様です。今年は一等来てるのが出たらしいじゃないですか。
裏をかかれました。私はてっきり今夜死ぬのは北条哲平だとばかり思ってたんですがね。
Yeah, I guess so. They were thinking it as I was suspecting.
仏は何者です？
富武二郎。年に何回かhinamizawaに来てる趣味の写真家さんです。ノーマークだったな。
どうなんでしょうね。北条宅にずっと張り付いてたのがバレてターゲットを変更したとか。
かなあ。恨めったな。
で、北条哲平の方は何も問題なし。
ねえ、夕方頃に娘が祭りに出かけて、その少し後にバイクで出かけまして。先に娘が帰ってきて、あれ？まだ帰ってないかな？どっかで飲んだくれてるのかな？
大石さんいらっしゃいますか？高杉課長からです。1号車の無線にお願いします。
Okay, well, it seems that we have confirmation that, once again, Tomitake and Takano are victims of this here as well. So it's a constant. Okay. Like any other victims, however, they are a bonus for each chapter going on. In this case, it would be Teppei. Like, okay. You would have the option that there will be like a third unknown party that is killing both Tomitake and Takano. That would be one. In which case, me thinking of Takano as the murderer of Tomitake would not be the case for option 1. Option 2 would be that Takano is the one who always kills Tomitake each chapter, except for somebody else who is apparently killing Takano. So a murderer is killing a murderer of a victim of such. Or the third option would be that Takano is killing Tomitake and then she kills herself. Why? To continue the curse of Oyashiro by killing themselves and creating the illusion of the curse. In which case, can it be possible that the same thing happened for last year's as well? Takano and Tomitake were the ones responsible for creating the illusion of the Oyashiro curse when they were the ones who actually did the murdering? In which case, why is this year the last year where they are staying alive? When they could try their best to keep the curse of Oyashiro going for like the next years as well. Why is this the last year? If they were the ones responsible. Unless there is something that told them that this would be the last year, that this sort of thing would no longer happen. Like the police or somebody was getting their hands on Tomitake and Takano finally realizing that they were the ones responsible. And so Takano and Tomitake got themselves killed so that they will be off the list. But with the added change that they will no longer be able to continue that curse. In which case, for what reason? For them to hide something specific? Maybe to hide a completely separate killer by doing the deed themselves. Maybe to hide the original killer of maybe the first year or something. And so they continue doing these murders like the next years to create the illusion of Oyashiro and therefore hide the first murderer or hide themselves. I don't know. There was this... God damn it. I wanted to talk about this in the investigation video, but I'm talking about this like right here. It is a commentary. I have to talk about this nonetheless, but I kind of want to leave some stuff for the investigation video so that I have some stuff to talk about during the investigation video, because this time I have to talk about something in the investigation video. I have to do something, but might as well just talk about this right here, and I guess I'm just gonna repeat myself in the investigation video. There was one thing in like the tips of the first chapter where Rika was mentioning something. It was something along the lines of, from what I remember, it was something along the lines of they were trying, like, the murder was done to hide something specific. Actually, hold on, let me look in the notepad right over here. I wrote it somewhere. Like, where was it? I guess maybe in this notepad right over here. Flipping through the pages. Oh, okay, I found it. Excuse me. Apparently it was in like at the end of chapter 2, not in chapter 1. It was in the tips like all-star review of chapter 2. Yeah. Actually, I don't even know if this was actually Rika who said this. I'd have to check, but I wrote this. An idea is thrown that the current killer of this year did it to distract and protect the person that did the killings years prior. Somebody said this. I don't know. I don't remember who it was exactly, but I get the feeling that it was Rika who said this. But that was something that that I had in mind for a while, and it makes me think of Takano and Tomitake. What if they did that to hide a previous murder of the previous years, with the help of the Oyashiro curse and such? Maybe it was Tomitake who did the first murder, and thus the reason why Takano did the murder this year was to hide Tomitake from the suspicion of coming from the police. Because how would you hide yourself as the murderer? By becoming a victim, of course. Like, a part of Takano wanted Tomitake to be free from the burden of being a murderer and to be free from the suspicion of ever being called a murderer ever again, for him to never be known as a murderer. And so she did the murdering. She killed Tomitake so that nobody would ever suspect Tomitake of the murders and such. Maybe to cleanse the sins of the past or something like that. That's an idea that I had in mind, and I'm definitely gonna bring this up in like investigation video and such.